Do you ever feel like a powerful elite are running your life? Well, you might be right, because 5 companies control basically everything. I had a conversation with Jack Peretti on my podcast, Under the Skin, available on Luminary, and he explained to me how there is a centralized network, a cartel, a gang, other words that you associate with elites that are running things. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, stay to the end of the video so we can continue the conversation and start to understand that this feeling we have that we're being dominated by central organizations, whether it's tech, consumerism, energy, media, or power, Goliaths of the globalist system are dominating your life. Have a look, stay to the end. Who are the most powerful global corporations?
Well,
when we talk about this,
it used to be the oil companies and the mining companies and the retail and the food, Unilever. So Unilever, Monsanto, Nestle, Coca-Cola. Those companies run food.
Really, those were the big ones.
Yeah, yeah,
so and sugar and fat and food.
What's extraordinary? Oxfam did an amazing graphic where basically what they've done is taken the 600 or so biggest companies on the planet, and then they've drawn their connections to the bigger company that owns them. Right. So it's like this extraordinary family tree, which ends up with literally 5 companies running everything. And you think, that's extraordinary. That's like, if you wanted to believe in conspiracy theories, well, just look at the graphics. So, it's not, you don't have to believe in conspiracy theories to understand that very few companies are in charge of everything. But now, in the last, 15 years, what we've seen is the rise of the tech companies, obviously, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon. These are the companies that now people consider to be the most powerful companies on the
And are they the most powerful?
Because of what they own for the future. They'll own data. They own data. They own everything there is to know about all of us.
So they're prospectively the most powerful. Are you saying that the way that we evaluate power is changing? It's not necessarily now about capital. It's about potential power because of data. Yeah. Data is the new capital.
Data is the new oil. Data is the new oil.
Because why?
Well, because it's the most precious commodity on the planet.
Because if you own data, that means you can market specifically to people, you can control them, and you control their consuming.
Once you've got Russell Brand's house, and Russell Brand's house's heating is controlled by a phone, which collects all the data and then collects all the data on what you buy, collects all the data on where you've been for the last 48 hours. They know absolutely everything, or will know absolutely everything there is to know about you. What you buy, what you do, what you like, what you dislike. That is power.
Because what I heard is that sort of maybe the word I heard was something like the Uberification, that people will know that the way if once they know your habits and your patterns, then like there could be a sliding scale of, oh, you need a plumber, do you? Well, it's Christmas Eve. That's £1,000. You can afford to pay it. That you can have a kind of a flexible capitalism that's responding to the consumer and extracting as much as possible. Yeah. What I suppose is, so one of the things that you seem to suggest early, Jacques, is that without some oppositional force, the limitless growth of corporatism will devour everything. But the state has now become essentially the administrator for corporatism, so that opposition won't be provided.
I think what you've seen with, and I'm not the first person to say this, but, when you see Brexit and Trump, you see in a kind of a sort of inarticulated response to the end of the state. You see people wanting to take power back because they can sense an end. But they don't, do you see what I mean? There's a sense in which the state has lost its potency.
Yes, before we can articulate it, we know it. We know, this doesn't work no more.
It's felt, and people understand it. And so, but I think what someone said, one entrepreneur said rather chillingly and brilliantly to me. He said, "What we do is we invent a problem and then provide the solution." And so that's really what a lot of these products are about. When you talk about data and you talk about the plumber and so on, what you really want to do is you want to start giving people options that they never knew they had.
What's an example of that?
So, for instance, if you watch this series, you're going to like this series. If you like that series, you will want to go on this holiday. If you want to go on that holiday, you'll like to buy this car. If you want to buy this car, you might like to go dating these 27 different women. There's an endless tree that can be opened up in terms of what your consumer decisions will be off the back of one consumer decision.
And it's like that you're trapped on a plateau of consumerism continually. You don't have another role in your life. Your role is to consume.
Shopping is everything because, you know, when George Bush was asked after 9/11, what could the public do after 9/11, Twin Towers, he said, go shopping. That was his solution.
Yes.
Go shopping wasn't a frivolous thing. Go shopping is actually what Elon Musk's solution is to the automation revolution. He says that essentially the only thing we can do productive to the economy is spend money. Consumerism is what it's all based upon. Debt is absolutely at the heart of it. So the increasing debt that we have goes hand in hand with the need for us to continue buying stuff. And so what you'll come to, Elon Musk has said, we'll all be paid a universal wage for basically going shopping. Once robots do everything, robots will be taxed, we'll get the money, and then we'll go down to Primark. And that is the future for humanity.
That George W. Bush moment, it's curious coming as it did off the back of a seismic event that represented in so many ways, perhaps some unseen, a cultural clash. That his a response to it was go shopping. It is the modern equivalent of saying pray. Go and pray, because that is our ideology. That is when we talk about extremism in the more obvious forms of, sort of religious extremism, we seem unaware that the dominant extremist ideology is one where we are consumers, and like you said, entering potentially into a time where you are nothing but a consumer.
Absolutely, and I think what's interesting is when we move to online shopping, what's that going to do to the cathedrals of consumerism? You know, the shopping centres, these places where we go to worship the god of shopping. Because in a sense, that replacement of God with shopping has been with us for half a century. It's kind of what we know. You know, and shopping is a profound thing. It's not only profound in terms of how the economy operates, it's also profound in terms of what it does neurologically to us. You know, we talk glibly about shopping addiction, retail therapy and so on. But those feelings, that endorphin rush, you know, that release of happiness that has to be replicated, that addiction, and you know about this stuff, you know, that addiction to that feeling has to be replicated faster and faster and more often and more often. The shopping is at the heart of who we are, how we define ourselves in relation to our neighbours and our friends. It's absolutely everything. It's the heart of capitalism.
Yes. It's the way it's the way we see ourselves. If we're not consuming, we're not existing. Now, whilst I see that the economic analysis that you're conducting it seems to me, is the truest way of understanding this problem. It's valid, it's demonstrable, it's scientific. You can go, look, this is where power is. Look at how it's responding. Look at the decisions that are being made. Look at this reality. Look at these deals. That's why you're living in this reality. That's a way of tracing it. In terms of change, it seems it would be very difficult to implement change on an economic level because there isn't, by definition, all of the power is held by people that want to maintain these systems.
I think if you understand why they got Earth to the place it's in, which was money, you understand how money is perhaps the only way that will get us out. You know, I spoke to Peter Thiel, who created PayPal. He's a Silicon Valley billionaire. He said the whole problem with the way we framed global warming has been in terms of a moral argument. We've said to the public, this is bad. People don't care. Daniel Kahneman, the behavioural economist, said there's an extraordinary moment. Basically, when a problem is too far away, we don't deal with it. When it's too close, it's too late. He said there's a window of opportunity where something can be done, and that's literally where we are with Earth right now. But you see, to go back to what Peter Thiel was saying, he said if there's money to be made from saving Earth, then believe you me, we'll have clouds with Evian logos on them. We'll have cows with, Monsanto logos on them. You know, if that's what's required to sort the Earth out, is to find a way of making money from the salvation of the Earth, then that's the way forward.
Yes, but there isn't.
A slightly bleak view, but...
I mean, another quote that recurs in this programme is it's easier to envisage the end of the world than it is to envisage the end of capitalism.
Yeah.
But this economically led...
one will come before the other.
Yeah, seemingly. But I can't, I can't see how it can be amended through economic means, unless you sort of, you for a moment there touched on that there are sort of biochemical imperatives to purchase and spending. We're doing it because we get a feeling inside our anatomy within our consciousness. For me, like the opposition can only change if people start looking at reality in a very different way. That's what I think is being suggested. The way that we intuitively are starting to understand that nation state is ending or is already defunct, except for in a superficial way. I think that we also know that huge change is required outside of the systems that we currently live within.
Tim, what you thought about that conversation? I really enjoyed it. I'd like to dig a little bit deeper. Do you think Jack Peretti raised a lot of good points? Let me know in the comments below what you agreed with, what you disagreed with, what areas you'd like to see covered, and who you'd like to see as guests on my Luminary podcast. If enough of you want them, or even one of you has a great suggestion, we'll look into it and get them on board. Because remember, our intention is to put together a series of ideas so we can genuinely start to look at alternative ways of organising society, initially small little societies of a few people, but ultimately who knows where this could lead, together. And if you'd like to hear more content like that chat with Jack Peretti, consider subscribing to Luminary. I do a conversation like this every single week, trying to get deeper and deeper, plus I do a guided meditation. If you enjoyed the video, perhaps you'll like this one, and if you need to meditate now, and why wouldn't you, have a look at this one. We've got to develop the spiritual side of our lives. We've got to connect with the inner world, don't we? Sign up to my mailing list as well, and please stay free.